When I was in my 20s, I had an awakening experience that changed my life. And after that, I seriously contemplated becoming a monk. But that didn't feel like my path, so instead, I committed to practicing like a monk every single day of my non-monk life for the rest of my life. It's been 20 years since I made that commitment. It's been well over 10,000 hours of practice. I certainly haven't done it every single day, but here are a few of the most important things that I have learned along the way. Number one, if you pulled me aside at any point over the past 20 years and you asked me what I yearn for most, my answer would have been peace, love, fulfillment, wholeness. Let's just lump all of it together and call it happiness for short. But if you watched how I lived, you would see somebody spending most of his energy pursuing a more fulfilling career, a relationship, financial security, accomplishments, and all of that. I continued pursuing outer goals and accomplishments as a means of obtaining happiness. I did this every single day of life, despite knowing that it doesn't work. If I could go back 10 or 15 years and give my younger self advice, I would tell him, wake up, dude. Stop dividing yourself in a million ways and wasting time on things that don't deliver on your true aspiration. Clarify your intention. Identify your deepest, worthiest desire, and then go all in on that. And by the way, after I was done giving my younger self that advice, I'd stop by the me from this morning and tell him the same thing. So that's number one. Number two, it took me 15 years of dedicated spiritual practice to recognize the depth of the cliche advice, be yourself. Be your true self. Be yourself has two meanings. At the deepest level, it's what the ancient wisdom traditions point to. You aren't just this limited body and mind that you take yourself to be. But knowing that isn't enough, and most of spiritual life is about really awakening to it and then embodying it. But then there's this other side of be yourself, which is at the psychological level. We've all accumulated so many layers and all these ways that we feel that we have to be someone in particular. So what if we shed all of that? But how many people do you know are really fully at home in their own skin? It is rare. And yet, how can you truly be free unless you're being yourself? Number three, life is your practice. I've spent years of misguided time trying to avoid and escape the sources of suffering in life. In my audio documentary, Spiritual Wayfinders, I share the story about my experience with depression. I was so busy trying to get rid of the depression that I didn't see that there was a message in it. Over time, that ended up turning into struggles with drinking, at which point all of my attention became fixated on how to manage and make the addictive patterns go away. So again, I missed the real message in it. I was focused on symptoms, but what was happening was it was trying to wake me up to something deeper that I needed to address if I wanted to be free. Every single challenge that you encounter, every time you're triggered, you're thrown off your game, every moment of psychological suffering is a signpost that something's saying, look closer here. Does something need to be understood? Does something need to be healed? All of it is pointing you back to freedom. Your life, exactly as it is right now, exactly as it is perfectly crafted to help you arrive at that inner freedom. The only question is this: will you accept that invitation? If you have any questions that you're grappling with in your own life and you'd value some outside perspective, please, anytime, feel free to shoot me an email at questions@mikecav.com, and I promise to write you back. Peace and love.